Buff Nation, what up? BWB, all of my bandwagon buffs. What's going on? Happy Monday. Thank you for joining the show tonight. I appreciate it. Guys, we got a lot of work to do today. We are going up against the NBA Finals. What could possibly be the final game of the NBA season? Dallas Mavericks versus the East Coast, Celtics. It could end tonight in a game 5. So we got to get to work because we got to get out of here before 8 o'clock or at least by 8 o'clock because that's when the game starts. And I'm sure ain't nobody interested in watching me over the NBA Finals. If you are still here, you and I can kick it. But I know what I know what I'm up against. So let's go ahead and get straight to work. You know what I'm saying? The dialogue, that's it. Let's go. So tonight's show, basically, we're going to be doing a series in the next couple of Monday Night Footballs. We're going to be talking about Colorado's road to the Big 12 championship. So we're going to take the individual teams and we're going to look at their schedules and we're going to try to see how they're going to fare off. Are we going to meet these teams that are on our schedule, one of the teams that are on our schedule in the Big 12 championship? Or is it going to be TCU or one of the other teams that's in the Big 12? Because there's 16 teams in the Big 12 and they've also replenished their rosters. They also have their own people that's looking out for them. So they're looking to win also. I know the Colorado fan base, you know what I'm saying, we feel some kind of way about our team, and rightfully so, because every single team fan base, you're supposed to big up your own team. Some people feel like we're crazy for trying to big up our own team, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Colorado has a really good chance of getting to that Big 12 finals, and so I want to take a look at it within these subsequent Monday Night Footballs, okay? So we're going to be looking at our schedule. I want to do it in a unique way, all right? What I want to do is I want to look at how some of these writers are actually ranking the Big 12 teams, and then we'll take who they've ranked, and we'll look at their schedule, the strength of schedule, and see how it kind of stacks up to other teams in the Big 12, and see how Colorado can get there, and if we get there, are we even going to beat these teams if we get there? We obviously play a pretty good number of the Big 12 teams, so some of these teams you will see, maybe there's just a few teams that are not on our schedule that we don't play. We played TCU last year, but you know what I'm saying? We don't play them again this year. I think we should have scheduled TCU. That would have started some type of rival. But let's go ahead and get started, guys. We want to go ahead and look at the rankings first, and then we're going to take a look at their schedules and see how they stack up. To call into the show, I would like some help if I can get anybody to help. If not, I'm totally fine. I'm ready to go. Okay, I can do this on my own. If I don't get no help tonight, it's all good. But if you would like to help, if you you want to chat it up with me, join tplive@gmail.com. It's the email address, guys. Just call in, and then we can discuss the different avenues that Colorado has to win, to even get there. All right. So the email again is jointlplive@gmail.com. Jointlplive@gmail.com. It's right there on your screen. If you look at the top left, screen left on my left, all right, maybe right, depending on how you're looking at it. But screen top left, that's the email. Please write down the email so you can email me when you want to call into the show. It could be tonight or next Monday night when we take a look at some of the other teams that's in the Big 12. Because there's 16 teams, and I only have an hour to do this, we may just do either one or possibly get to two teams. But if it just takes us one, if we can just exhaust one team at a time, that's perfectly okay with me. We do have quite a few way to go before the season starts, and this is going to be our conference. So why not take a really deep dive or deeper look into the Big 12 to see our path, to see if we can come up with some kind of unique path to see how Colorado's going to, fare out. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's not waste no more time. Let me make sure I got the email pulled up. And if anybody wants to call in and chop it up with me, I would appreciate it. All right. So let's see here. Oh, okay. I got some of my guys I want to call. They got some time tonight. I know that Monday nights are a short period for some guys, but I do appreciate the fact that you guys want to help me out. All right. Okay. So all right, so let's get to it. And let me share my screen. Give me a second here. I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can go ahead and get to the rankings. Okay, that's not the one that I wanted. It's not doing it right now. All right, so right now that is not working. Let's try this one. We're gonna go over the Big 12 rankings, and then we're gonna see how the Big 12 ranking shapes out. Oh, come on. All right. So according to the Big 12 rankings, the Utah Utes are actually the biggest, has the biggest chance to actually win the Big 12. So the first team we're going to take tonight is going to be, let's talk about the Utah Utes and how they're going to fare out. On your screen there, you're looking at the Utah Utes. Guys, if you can do me a favor and write down that email so I can take it off the screen. I can take off the lower thirds off the screen. Please don't forget it's jointupelive@gmail.com. Let me see. I think I may have something to where I can utilize it. Nope, I don't have it. I thought I did, but I don't have it. It's still going to cover the screen. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can do it like that. If that works for y'all, give me a thumbs up in the chat. All right, I can keep the email up like that. It doesn't cover the entire screen. All right, so here we are. Let's take a look at Utah and their schedule, because Utah is probably going to be our biggest challenge getting to that Big 12 championship. So, all right, let me bring my guy Phil on. Hey, Phil, what's up with you, man? Thank you for calling in. I appreciate you.
Hey, what's good, man? I'm on a little family vacation. Had some free time, so I said I'll jump on with you, see what's good.
For sure, for sure. I appreciate you, man. I hope you're having fun over there.
Yeah, man, we up in Stone Mountain. Funny enough, we hanging out in Stone Mountain on Juneteenth week. Stone Mountain where the Klan used to come hang out here in Georgia. So, you know,
Mm,
we'll talk about that offline if we need to. But yeah, so it's just kind of funny to me. But we having a good
mm.
time regardless.
So you're an agitator, is that right? You're
yeah,
going to Klan land on Juneteenth. I see how you roll there, brother.
yeah, I like that. I'm out to steal that Klan land.
Yeah, yeah. That's where you take your family on vacation.
Hey, trust me, we got the whole armor on, so we good. Believe that.
Okay. All right. I don't know how that armor works with backsliders, but we'll talk about, like you said, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We'll deal with that later. I can't let
So,
the world know my faults like that.
hey, I'm sorry, but it slipped. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I charge it to your head, not your heart.
Not my heart. Yeah, my heart is in the right place always.
Let's go, man. Let's
Let's
get it.
talk
Let's
about
get
this
it.
Big 12, the road to the Big 12 championship.
Hmm.
So, according to the powers that be, the powers that are ranking the Big 12 teams, the teams that
Hmm.
are ranked are going to be your K-States, your Utah Utes.
Hmm.
These teams are well, I would say K-State is being ranked right now at a higher as you. First of all, it goes like this, right? We got Utah, K-State, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Arizona,
Yeah.
Iowa, and then it kind of falls down to Virginia, West Virginia,
West Virginia. Yeah.
UCF, Texas
Yeah. Yeah.
Tech, TCU, and
Hey,
then Colorado. Go ahead.
Real quick on West Virginia. West Virginia is a team that people seem to be high on from the standpoint that not necessarily that they're going to have like a 10-2 season this year, but it
Uh-huh.
seems like that program has it well is in an upward trajectory. So
Hmm.
since Colorado's in the Big 12 and they eventually will have to play them, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a team that you guys might want to keep in your mind, even if it's not for this year because they're not on the
Hmm.
schedule. But next
Yeah.
year, when we think both teams are going to be even better than they are this year, and they should be substantially better than they were last year. So I think it'll be for a fun kind of look into to see. And even if Colorado has to travel to West Virginia, that will probably be like their longest trip they would have to make in conference, which is already kind of weird in itself.
Oh, okay. So West Virginia, we got to look at them too, huh?
Yeah, that's a team that's on the up and up in the Big 12 right now.
When you say up and up, like what have you heard about West Virginia that's on the up and up?
So I can't give you like any particulars, but I know when I've listened to different pundits and analysts throughout the season last year, they spoke
Hmm.
highly of them, and then like in the off season, they've been the team that is kind of like that under the radar team, the team that
Hmm.
not a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to be, um, the top team in the conference, but a team that could kind of ruin some people's seasons by getting that win that they weren't expecting they were gonna get type situation.
Okay. All right. So they're kind of like a Colorado. They're coming into their own.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
But I don't know. But when I was softly following college football, West Virginia was one of those teams that I heard a lot about. They were like that smash mouth football team that you heard about. Was that the West Virginia of old, or am I mistaken?
No, that's fairly accurate. You got to think about the Appalachian. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about the people that are up there. They're hard nosed, hard working people. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of glitz and glamour. They kind of like your Iowas and your Iowa States or your Nebraskas. Gonna be a
Mm,
bunch of mid-level 3 stars, high 2 star guys, but they're gonna come in and put the work in. They had Pat White there for a while in the early 2000s. They had some really good skill players at a certain point, but they could just never get over the hump. But they always had really solid teams.
okay. So that's not okay. So we'll take a look at them. I want to. Well, in this series, I actually want to take a look at most of these teams. I want to take a look at them all, because at the end of the day, we're Colorado is actually like, if you listen to certain channels and certain pundits, Colorado people want Colorado to be the team for the Big 12 because we are the sexy ones,
Hmm.
just from for namesake. So
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where people want us to win because then we're easily marketable because we're already either villains or loved. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So it's like we're ripe for the moment. You feel me?
You know when Colorado plays, you're gonna get at least, especially if it's. I put it like this: if Colorado makes it to the Big 12 championship game, I think that would probably be the highest watched Big 12 championship game in history.
Yeah.
Especially this season. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, like the game would market itself, and don't let it mess around and be a Utah, maybe even a situation where they have a rematch against Oklahoma State and they just played
Hmm.
against each other last year. I mean, excuse me, the week prior. I think that'll be a lot of excitement for the game. So yeah, I mean, if on the Big 12 powers that be, I would love for Colorado to have a wonderful season to get to the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah. I mean, even though we do get a lot of hate, there's actually a lot of, I would say, back channel love that Colorado has from a business standpoint.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and a lot of people want to see Colorado actually do well because then it sells the Big 12 as a conference. It sells us in the right way because we're easy market. So, but let's look at the rankings first so that people can understand where we're going with this. All right. So we're looking at it from top to bottom. So tonight we can look at let's look at the Utah Utes.
Okay.
So what their write up goes, when quarterback Cam Rising is in the lineup, the Utes rank among the best teams in college football, posting a 19-6 record with 2 conference championships. Rice's knee would be the biggest question mark, but the Utes solidify the offense with 3 wide receiver transfers and 2 tight ends, along with some quarterback depth in the form of former 5-star Sam. Is that Hugh or Howard or whatever his name is?
Heard.
Heard. If the defense can come along, the Utes are the clear team to beat in the Big 12. If that is the case, let's do like we did with your Alabama Crimson Tide, and let's look at their schedule. Give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and look at their schedule. I have it up here. Excuse me. And then let's kind of talk about it from game to game and see. We don't have to have that great of a knowledge. Let's kind of like talk about it based on what we already know from our time
It,
here,
Oh,
right?
I do want to speak on something. I got something pulled up right now.
I'm ready. Go ahead.
It mentioned the receivers that they brought in.
Uh huh.
They did bring in a really good receiver, Dorian Singer. He played
Hmm.
for Southern Cal. I don't think he was the premier guy in their offense, but he was a guy that did get some stats. And then Tayshawn Lyons, he was like the fourth or fifth guy on the Washington depth chart. He had a fairly decent season last year, but when you had Roma Dunze and the other guy, I can't remember the second guy's name with Washington. It's only so many balls he's going to be able to get. But
Hmm.
they did bring in some pretty good receivers, like the write up said.
Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me put this in there. Let me make sure I get this queued up. Okay. Hopefully this is gonna do it. Okay. I want to keep that ranking on the screen while we do this as well. So let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. So on our screen we have their schedule. Now, this is 2020, this is August 29th. They're going to be starting with Southern Utah. Now, Southern Utah, can you see a W or an L on this Southern Utah matchup?
Listen, man, that's a W all day for Utah, Southern Utah. Uh, I don't think they're in Group of Five. I think they're in FCS, and it's just one of them in-state games, smaller school. I think Utah handle them. They'll beat them with class, but it'll be an obvious win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Utah is again, according to the write up, the fact that Utah can be, a problem in college football period. My only thing is, why is it that as much and as strong of a coach as he is, that what's his name, Whittingham,
Whittingham, yeah.
Whittingham is, why is it that Whittingham can't, why do you think he can't put it all together? There's a few coaches like this that they just can't put it all together.
Di- so I'm going to play the role of giving him a little bit more credit. I'm gonna say that he just doesn't have the horses in the race to get him over the top. I really do believe that at a certain point, talent, the talent you have is only going to get you so far.
Uh-huh.
I guarantee you, if he and Coach Saban switch rosters, I
Uh-huh.
think Alabama will look just like what Alabama looked like, and I think unfortunately Utah will look just like what Utah looked like. I think he has really good players that buys into the system. I think he has a good system. He has a great culture, but you also got to think about the state of Utah with some of the less than enjoyable environment, that Utah has. It's heavily Mormon. They don't have it's not as much freedom. They're very strict on certain things, especially on campus. So it's going to be hard to get those 5-star guys to come out to Utah.
Oh, you think because of culture and maybe religion, it may cause them certain players?
Yeah, just I mean, just like Notre Dame, there's going to be guys that just won't go to Notre Dame. They're heavily Catholic church, if I'm not Catholic school, if I'm not mistaken. And then
Mm,
their academics are really high as well. So there are just some schools that know I'm not going to get the top echelon 5-star plus Jordan C, Carmine McLean, Travis Hunter guys, but the 4-star guy, the low
yeah,
4-star,
yeah.
high 3-star guy that I get, I'm gonna bring him in and I'm going to develop him, and he's gonna be a system guy, and he's gonna play here for 4 years, and by his senior year. He's going to be really good, and the rest of the people in that class are going to be really good, and we're going to have a really good football team.
But okay, remember what's her name? Farnbaum said about Coach Prime, right? Like as far as
Hmm.
like being a really good coach and being able to coach your way through certain situations. You
Hmm.
said earlier that if he needs, well, maybe you didn't say that, but if you gave him, your Crimson Tide's team,
Yeah,
then he can win. But does he
yeah.
really need to be? Can he? I see him as one of these rock star coaches that people talk about because his winning record is impeccable, right? So does he need to be as high as an Alabama's roster to win as a
I mean,
coach, or can he get like a Big Ten roster and win?
no, I think he needs. Well, okay, so let's
And then
see.
and then and then how can he be such a great coach if he needs that roster to win? Isn't
Because
that the
in
thing that we
college, because
always distract away from Coach Prime?
but in college football, again, there's only so far you can get. You know what I mean? And like that blue chip ratio that we see 247 talk about, I think that does matter. The blue chip ratio is when you have 50% or more of your team that is 4-star and 5 stars. The
Uh-huh.
past 8 to 9 um, national champions were all teams that had a blue chip ratio that was 50% or higher.
Hmm.
Michigan was the most recent one that won a national championship, obviously, but they were the ones with the lowest blue chip ratio, but it still was at 53%. So even though they were very low, they still met that threshold for blue chip ratio. So you got to have a certain level of talent on your team to be able to win, just based off of what the stats say.
Yeah, because I mean, when I read about some of these coaches, I'm like, dang, these coaches have really, really good winning records, and it just seems like, why is it that they can't get over the hump?
That.
I know Dan Lanning is just getting there, getting to Oregon, but
Mhm.
Oregon also has a winning record, and I mean, there are teams that win every year.
But and
But
see, and so for example, if Whittingham were Oregon, Oregon can kind of recruit itself just with the Nike brand, the jerseys, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Some kids may have to get over the weather, things of that nature.
yeah,
But for the most part, it's going to be a lot easier to recruit at an Oregon than it would be for a Utah. So if you put him with you, oh, excuse me, if you put Whittingham with Oregon's roster, I
uh-huh.
think the outcome would be even better. I think he is that good of a coach that he takes those 4 and 5 star guys to being a 10-2 win team to 11-1 or undefeated season.
So you think he's better than Dan Lanning then?
So at this present moment, I think he's better than Dan Lanning, but I think Dan Lanning has, from what I've seen and what I've heard about him, especially from his time at Georgia,
Yeah,
um, he's special. He's one of those guys that they may not win it all early in
yeah.
his career, but he's a guy that could give Kirby Smart a run for his money, give Lane Kiffin a run for his money. He's one of those young guys that will be
Mm.
around for a while in college football.
That's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been making fun of you legacy guys, but this is the type of show that I like to have you legacy guys on. So speaking of legacy guys, let's bring on this. He's older than legacy, so let's bring him on. DC Carson, what's up, man? Thank you for coming
What's
on.
going What's going on? Let me get my Moses beard all together.
Yes, sir.
My staff.
I need that Moses beard tonight for this conversation, brother. I'm telling you.
What's good,
Because
DC? How you doing, brother?
yeah, man.
I'm doing fine, man. Phil. Hope all's well with both of you.
Hey,
All's
DC,
well.
and you and Phil, I'm so glad you and Phil are on, because like when we have our like college general college football talks, man, I really enjoyed those shows. So I'm kind of
Absolutely.
happy to have you guys on as for your legacy brains and whatnot. These are good conversations to have.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
So So tonight we're not gonna pick on Prime or Colorado. Where we might have to sneak in a few jabs, but we're basically trying to look through. We're trying to comb through the Big 12 and find a path for Colorado and see how Colorado is going to fare out. So tonight's show, we're kind of going through. We're taking this ranking that most people are doing because most people have Utah, Kansas State, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Arizona, like pretty much in somewhat of this order. They have these teams being at the top of the Big 12. So I'm like, okay, in the next subsequent Monday Night Football talks, let's talk about these teams. Let's look at their schedule and see how we can find a path for Colorado. We've done similar shows, but now we're getting a little deeper. So we looked at August 29th, Southern Utah. Phil is saying that's an easy win because that's an FCS team, just like we have North Dakota State. What is your thoughts on that?
Agreed. Here's the thing about Utah, and I put down in the chat that Utah has one of the easiest schedules. So their path to the Big 12 championship is not as hard. That's one of the reasons why they're ranked up there. Just a side note, Harry, Utah does kind of struggle with recruiting because, like, more, I mean, it's like they don't want them drinking. They don't want them doing the horizontal polka, if you know what that means.
Oh, gosh.
And that they don't want them to have any of that stuff going on. So It's very hard to them, to recruit. And then it's very Mormon based. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
when the Indians become Mormons? Because isn't it heavily Indian based? Like Native American,
regular white guys. Those just old white guys over there.
But those are people that just
Native
went out
American,
there.
Not the Asian Indians, but the Native Americans.
They do have some of that there. But I will tell you, Utah is one of the most beautiful states, as well as Colorado, some of the two most beautiful states you will ever go to. But that's the thing that Utah does struggle with. Oh, I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. Which, as far as Utah, Southern Utah is not an issue. The thing with being Utah is that it's hard to attract people there. So therefore, they have to have a habit of develop that their program process is to develop versus being able to go out and get kind of like the new stuff. BYU was able to do it back in the day. They had their Ty Detmers. They had a lot of people that were able to come in. I think Ty Detmer won a Heisman, 10,000 yards over a career, which is not much now. But that Utah is not if you ever just look around or see somebody, you ever went there, you'll know why it's hard.
Because don't nobody look like us on their campus.
Oh yeah.
Except for the football players and basketball players.
They're not like us, right?
Yeah, for real.
Man, I was in uniform, so I was able to do it. But no. I listened to a lot of country my entire time there, music, because it wasn't no R&B station at all.
You had to listen to the banjo, didn't you? So it was a lot of banjo music, which I love. Actually, I fell in love with it in North Carolina. So all right. So their next game is going to be against Baylor. Oh no, BYU. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this.
No, it's Baylor.
Baylor. Okay, so Baylor right here is being ranked number 12. Baylor hasn't spent much time in the cellar. But a 3-9 campaign was the worst by a returning coach since 2007. Instead of making a change, Baylor's athletic department is making a costly gamble that Dave Aranda can right the ship for the second time in 4 years. There are some reasons for optimism. The Bears nabbed offensive coordinator Jake Spavital and running backs coach Kenan Hall from SMU, from ACC schools, to transition towards a spread offense, and they took a big swing by adding MAC Player of the Year QB Daquan Finn from Toledo. Anything short of a bowl game, and Aranda is likely out. Is Baylor up for the challenge? So you don't see this game as a challenge for the Utes?
No, I don't think it'll be a challenge. I do think it's funny if you can go back to the other page you were just on where it had the write up about the team.
Oh, the write up, this one right here.
Yeah. You see how it says Cal and SMU from ACC schools?
Yeah.
That's why words mean things. Those teams haven't played a game in the ACC yet. Cal was in the Pac-12 last year. SMU was in the American Conference last year. So they're using that language to try to make it seem like these coaches are coming from these top-notch schools by
Okay.
the name of the conference they're
That's a
coming
good catch,
from.
Phil. That's a good one. Go ahead.
Come on now. Hey, listen, man. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. So I'm just trying to
That's what
tell
I'm talking
you.
about. Go ahead, flex on. Go ahead, flex on.
But it's just you gotta pay attention to stuff like that because they'll have you thinking, oh, when people just hear the name ACC, SEC, you know what I'm saying? Like they associate that with greatness. But these programs, now that's not to say these coaches can't be good, but my
Right,
point
right.
is that these programs weren't world beaters that these coaches are coming from. So I'll just leave it at that. But I do think Dave Aranda is a really good coach. The guys play tough. They haven't been winning lately. But he's a hard nosed coach, and those guys play really hard for him. And it's a school in Texas, so he's gonna have some type of talent, even if it's all 3 stars. There are gonna be some talented guys out there playing for him.
All right, that's what's up. Let me just remind everybody that at the top of your email, at the top of your screen is the email, jointuplive@gmail.com. If you know about the Big 12 or you know about football, you want to chop it up with us, you want to join the show and join the panel, guys, email me, jointuplive@gmail.com. That is the email to email me and join the show. I'm enjoying my conversation with my two legacy guys, DC Carson and Phil So Real. I appreciate you guys. What are your thoughts on that, DC?
Well, Baylor actually has over under win total of 5.5, just like Colorado does. Do I
Hmm.
think that they are
Oh, one second, DC.
offensive?
Hey,
Go ahead.
Phil, if you can you pull up the spread? Has the Big 12 released the spread stuff yet? So we can
Uh,
maybe we can get some people some gamble information.
oh, okay,
I don't
okay,
know if
yeah,
that's
yeah,
a good
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but
I can
that
find
might
it real
make the
quick.
show more interesting.
I can see if I can find it real quick. I got you. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, DC. Sorry to stop you, man.
No, it's fine. So Baylor, I think they're getting some people in, but the issue is going like they got a good quarterback from Toledo that can play, and I think they
Yeah,
got some other good pieces in as far as a good running back, all that. So they did go into the portal and get some stuff, and then they do recruit pretty decently. I just think that Utah is a more solid team than
hmm
and I think the path for Utah is a little easier than what Baylor will have to go through.
Okay. So we're moving right along, guys. We're going down to so yeah, I also think that Baylor being ranked number 12 in the Big 12 rankings. We're also, I mean, we're slated. We're also slated to beat them as well. Not that that's not a shot at Colorado at all, but most teams are slated to beat Baylor. They were Big 12 champions like just not too long ago, but something happened and they're not making that many changes. That
I will,
they haven't
I
made
will,
enough changes to right the ship yet.
right. I will say this though, CU fans, this is not hate. It's just where I'm coming from. Remember we talked about last time a team that I think Colorado that would surprise me that you would have to give them their props will be Kansas State, while Phil was Utah. But Baylor is a trap game all
Mm-hmm.
day long. Because folks have to understand is that you don't always play at peak performance through the entire year. You have those games where somebody comes and sneaks up on you. And think about it. Colorado would have played uh, North Dakota State, which I'm not saying that's going to be a loss. It will be if even if it's a blowout, there's still a lot that goes into that because that's a running team. So you have wear and tear. Then you get to Nebraska. Even if you win, that's still going to be wear and tear because it's a rival game. You have Colorado State, wear and tear, rival game because games beat you up. Then
Yeah,
you're
they
going
do.
right into Baylor, though that's homecoming. So you got to look at it. It's that the path of that game could get you if you're not careful. If they're everything is cooking with gas and they're flowing, that's good. But that's one of them games. Colorado, not saying Colorado will lose this at all. I'm just
Mhm.
saying that's one of those games that that's one of them games where they can put a Stanford on you if you're not careful because they have the
That's
QB to do it.
I agree. I agree. So yeah. So at the end of the day, man, look, Colorado's going to show up and play, but most of these games are not going to be give me games, even though the whether they're ranked high or low. Most of these games are not going to be gimmicks, but we got to move it right along to Utah versus Utah State. Okay, so they're playing all of the Utah games. They're playing all of the Utah State games. So what are we saying about on Utah State versus Utah? DC, you go first.
That's a win for Utah.
I would
Easy.
say too. Yeah, I would say this is an easy win for State. So this is kind of like their what's the name, Utah versus State, as they would say in the college towns. So
Yeah,
we about to play.
That's not even their biggest rival though.
Who is their biggest? Who is Utah's biggest rival?
BYU. They call it the Holy War.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. There might be a fun little side like video to do, like to look at the rivalries that are within the Big 12.
Oh
But
man,
yeah,
you said it on live. Now somebody's gonna do it and beat me to it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I might cover the Holy Wars, because Texas has a lot of Christian schools, and then you got Baylor, and is Baylor Christian or the Mormon or what is it?
I think that's just a regular state school. I don't think they have any like religious affiliation.
So
but I know
how
obviously
calling the Baylor and Utah the Holy War? How is that?
No. BYU, Brigham Young University.
Brigham Young. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those two schools mess me up. So is Brigham Young Christian? What are they? Are they also Mormon?
Mormon. Brigham Young is it. I don't think he created Mormonism. I think that was John Smith or Joseph Smith that created Mormonism. But he was a very big Mormon back in like the early 1920s or something like that. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I can understand why a lot of guys that look like us wouldn't want to go to BYU.
How did coining the term holy? Mormons have they also subscribe to the Holy Spirit.
I think holy from the standpoint of like a religious battle more so than like holy, like people being holier than thou.
Oh, because I would think like the Holy Spirit, right, in the Christian religion, Holy Spirit. So the Holy War. Anyways, you know what? That's interesting to know.
Fun fact here is that he founded Salt Lake City, first governor of Utah, and he had 56 wives and 57 children.
That boy was busy.
Man, for real.
But what you're not gonna like is Brigham Young.
One night.
Yeah, but here's what thing you're not gonna like.
Real quick.
I know, but here's what thing is not gonna like. He formalized a prohibition of black men attaining priesthood and led the church in the Utah War against the United States.
Hold on, say that again. I didn't catch that.
I do know stuff. He formalized the prohibition of black men attaining priesthood and led the church in the Utah War against the United States.
What does that mean? Break that down in layman's terms.
Black men couldn't become priests.
Oh, okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So prohibition, that's what kind of prohibition means, right?
Mm-hmm. To not allow.
To not allow, right? Like the liquor wars. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you can't have black people, but you can have 56 wives, and 57 children. So go for it.
Yeah, he was a pimp, right?
I want to know what man can put up with that much nagging, though. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, come on. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to start some stuff? Now, you're on vacation in KKK land. You with dude, okay? You got a Jamaican with you, so be careful, bro.
Man, yeah. All right.
Don't start nothing. I don't want to hear no breaking news.
Hey, look, I'm sitting on the balcony looking at the lake too, so hopefully she don't come out here and throw me over.
Don't start nothing, bro. Hey, all right, let's move on to Utah versus Oklahoma State. How we have this game going? Phil, that's you.
Oklahoma State, man, I think that will be one of their toughest games of the season. It's at Oklahoma State. So obviously, like just from a point spread standpoint, you got to give the nod to Oklahoma State. But I think right now my heart is gonna say Utah. But once the season starts, like if you ask me the day before the game, that may change. But in this present moment, I'm gonna go with Utah.
Okay, so we're going with Utah. I think I'm gonna go with K-State, Oklahoma. I'm gonna go with OSU on this one. But DC, what is your thoughts on this?
All right, that was a tricky one. I think that actually that game is a pick 'em. It's like the line is 1.5.
Okay.
So, they're saying it's pretty even. I'm going to give it because it's Oklahoma State at home, correct?
Is Oklahoma State, are they at home?
Hmm. They're at home. Yeah, if they're the team on the bottom,
Okay.
they're at home.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay,
Then I'm
good.
going to go with Oklahoma State to win that one. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's
I'm going,
interesting that's
I'm
close
going.
to a pick 'em.
Yep. So me and DC are going OSU on this one. So we would say that Utah is right now, just based on our predictions, Utah is going to be what? How many games was that? 1, 2, 3.
Three
There
and
are
one.
three and
Three and
one.
one.
Utah
Yeah.
is 3-1, moving on to Arizona. They get to Arizona, and Fafita is going to be a sophomore now. Fafita torched the Pac-12 with 10-2. He took over for Delora, and Delora got hurt. Is Delora out of college now, or did he just move on to another team? I don't remember.
I feel like he transferred, but also it might have been like his last. Uh, I don't know if that was his fourth or fifth year as a senior, but I feel like he could have transferred, but who knows? Let me look it up real quick just for my own edification.
All right, I think somebody just gave a super chat. If CU, okay. Hey, Peter Investor, how you doing, man? I wanted to say hi. Just I put your. If I don't say hi to you, you say hi, and I put you on the screen. That means I'm saying hi, guys. So when we're in the middle of a thought, I don't want to interrupt the person speaking. So, but we do have some business to handle right here. We've been doing this. $4.99. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate you. If CU has been the DB, if CU has the best DB wide receiver and QB in college football, why can't they go 12-0? Oh boy, DC, be quiet. Stop. Don't start, DC. Let this one go. But this is a good question. Hey, I think the conversations have to go beyond just having the best, or if we think that they have the best, the conversations have to stretch out. We have to stretch out these conversations because Travis Hunter having one of the best wide receiver rooms, all of those things should translate. But it's a package deal. Those are the conversations we've been having on these
Can,
shows. It's a
can,
package deal. It's a team sport. So the DBs are
exactly.
on the island by themselves. The wide receivers got to catch the ball, which is got to be thrown by a quarterback who may be on his back, depending on how that line is going to protect him. So if you stretch out if you stretch out the conversation, then you kind of see where the holes are, and then you can kind of plug the holes as it need to be plugged, or at least you can have that conversation to where the 12-0 may not happen. So,
Hey,
but yeah, go ahead.
hey, I just want to point out to bring the legacy conversation in. That's all fine and dandy to have those skill players, but you look at the teams that's won the championships here recently. It's been a line of scrimmage that they were able to control. Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, that's what it boiled down to. So like that's great. I mean, you look at a team like Georgia, they had a subpar quarterback at Stetson Bennett, but he made the right plays at the right time. I think we would all agree that Shador Sanders is light years ahead of where Stetson Bennett was, but he won two national championships back to back because his team had an offensive line and a defensive line that could control the game. And so it's good to have these skilled players, but let's remember what positions really matter when it comes to the game of football, and not only just football, but championship football at that.
So
And the
so
only thing I'll say is
be nice, DC. Be nice.
I am I'm never I'm never going to sit here and say that Colorado cannot go 12-0 or win it all. That would not be a true statement. It's possible. But when you start unpacking that, all I would ask is that when you say that, you do have to realize you're basically saying that Colorado, it was better than Texas was last year. They were better than Oklahoma. They were better. I mean, basically, you're saying that
Better than
Colorado this
Georgia,
year,
better than
yeah,
Bama.
that's you got to understand that's what you're saying. It's not just saying that Shador is good. They've got some good wide receivers in Wester. You got Travis also is good. You got some other ones, and of course Travis is a great DB. But Travis does have weaknesses. Travis has got to get better doing man to man
Man.
versus zone. So it's not saying that Colorado cannot. It's just that y'all have to think what you're saying when you say that this team is basically, because if you're going to say 12-0 and that good and that you have those factors, which I agree is the trenches though, then go ahead and go all the way there. Say, hey, we believe that we're going to be in the semifinal, if not the final, because you certainly will be in the playoffs at 12-0. So I'm not dissing you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that.
And they'll have a bye. They'll have a bye. So they're automatically in the quarterfinals. So they're already one step ahead of everybody else.
And guys, this is why we're doing these lives now. I'm doing it this way because we're looking at the strength of schedule. We're looking at the teams that we're going to be contending with. So we're looking at Oklahoma playing. We're looking at Oklahoma playing Utah, and we're saying, okay, how strong is Oklahoma? We're looking at this because we want to know, is it real? It's got to be real. We got to put some real leather or some meat on the bone here. It can't just be our guys are good, but where do you see it from the conversations that we're having? Where do you see it? If you see it from the conversation we're having, then I would love to have you put it in the comments or come on the show and then kind of articulate what you're seeing that we're not seeing from the conversation that we're having. All right, so we're moving on down to we're almost there, guys.
We gotta get that. We didn't do Arizona. So
right,
we had
we are Arizona
going into Arizona.
Yeah, so Arizona with Fafita, and he's a sophomore now. He did replace Delora, who was hurt last season, and he came into
at Texas State, by the way. Delora transferred to Texas State Bobcats. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So the sophomore, is he going to be with their new coach because their coach had to go? He's at Washington now, right?
Correct. Taking over for Kellen DeBoer.
So Jeff Fish is at Washington, where he took over for Kellen DeBoer, who is at Alabama. All right. So are we saying that with their new head coach and with the sophomore now, who was pretty good, are we saying that this game is going to be tough still for Utah, or this is going to be an evenly matched game, or are they winning?
I think it'll be a tough match. I think it'll be an evenly matched game. But I think since Utah's at home, I would give them the edge on this particular game.
All right, so we're looking at Arizona. Where is Arizona ranked? Arizona is ranked 5th in the predictions. The Wildcats were not one of the most the Wildcats were one of the most underrated stories in the country. That was last season, jumping from 1-11 to 10 wins in just 2 seasons on the arm of quarterback Noah Fafita and receiver, what is his name? How do you pronounce that guy's name?
I'm not even sure.
Tetiara McMillan. If Jet Fish and the full roster return in 2024, the Wildcats might rank number 1 in the league, still even after a few key losses in the transfer portal. New coach Brent Brannon has Arizona sitting in a great spot to contend for the conference. Arizona is a team that we're going to have to contend with on our road to the Big 12 championship. So you have it that because they are at home, you got the Utes winning that game. What do you say, DC?
All right. So when you want to talk about best wide receiver in the Big 12, McMillan is it. I get it. Fuck that dude is you just need to go watch some footage. Arizona, that line right now is like Arizona versus Utah. That line is 2.5 towards Utah. So that's a close game. They're looking at it to maybe be like a field goal win or less. I would say that I think Arizona has some good offensive firepower, absolutely. I just don't think that they put it all together. I'm not big on Arizona like some. That's actually one of the things I think Colorado can beat, though people are saying Arizona can't. So I'm going to go with Utah wins that one.
I will give it to Utah as well because of what I've been saying about Arizona. I thought they were a Cinderella story, and the fact that they lost Jet Fish, I thought that was their biggest setback for 2024. and I believe that they're going to take that L. We're going to beat them. Utah is going to beat them. I think they're going to digress or digress this season because of the leadership switch. Not to say that the other guy ain't that good, Brandon ain't that good, but I'm just saying that the chemistry that they built last year and how they had them playing, that was too much of a significant loss for them to repeat what they did, like only losing 2 games in the Pac-12, which was pretty good last year.
Yeah,
So that's too much.
They're gonna fall off a little bit.
Is Kip Bennett correct that Jaden Delora is in the pros?
Yeah, he's actually in the UFL. So I pulled up 247 Sports and looked at the transfers from Arizona, and they had him going to They had him going to Texas State. But when I looked up his actual Wikipedia, it said that he's in the UFL playing for the Brahmas or whatever Texas team that is.
Oh, okay. So wait, that's not the same team that Destroying played for before he broke his neck, is it?
I watched the UFL, but I can't tell you exactly. I watch it, but I don't keep up with it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because he had me keeping up with it because he made the team as a kicker, and then he broke his neck on the second game, and I'm like, dang it, man! What? Some people are just bad lucky, man. Like, good Lord,
for real.
Woo-wee. But anyway, so you're learning about Arizona. You're learning about I want everybody to please keep in mind like the little nuances that that helps you to win games. All right, leadership Arizona. That's why I'm contrasting, or I'm using the rankings, and then we're going over. We're using the rankings to go over Utah tonight. So okay, we're going on from Utah. We're going to Arizona State. That's an L. Let's move on.
Hey, Harry. Hey, listen. I don't know how tight you're gonna try to keep the live to today, but I do see my first loss that I have for Utah. I got all them winning going up to the Iowa State game, even though that game is at home for Utah, November 23rd. I think Iowa State is that sneaky team that can just get a win when people don't think they're gonna be able to get it.
So you think they beat Iowa on November 23rd? I mean, Iowa beats them on November 23rd?
Yeah, I think Iowa State takes them. Yeah, I think that's one of those games where you kind of get lulled into that kind of. You got a situation where you got the Holy War on November 19th. Then the next week they got to go to Colorado. You coming off really 2 high energy impact game, regardless of how good Colorado is by that point in the season. It's still Colorado, so there's going to be a level of excitement and a level of get up for that game. And then I think they're gonna kind of get lulled to sleep against Iowa State, and Iowa State's gonna punch him in the mouth and get a W.
Okay, so DC, the way I'm looking at it, I can just go down the line on these next 3 or next 4 teams, right? We can all agree here on this panel. Arizona State, that's an L for Arizona State is losing. That's a W for Utah. TCU is a W for Utah. Houston is a W for Utah. One of the worst teams. All right. That was what Otto's former team. BYU is a W for Utah as well. Where is BYU ranked? BYU is ranked 13th according to the preseason rankings. So, do you agree to that? To those, or you want to give your thoughts on those current ones?
Yeah, I want to sit there and say that when we're talking about the Utah Iowa State. Is that what we looked at? Yeah. See, like for example,
Iowa State. I'm just saying, like your thoughts on the last 4 that I just said. They're taking the Arizona State takes the L, TCU takes the L, Houston takes the L, and BYU takes the L. Before we go to Iowa, I feel kind of jumped ahead. I got those last 3 teams.
I agree.
Okay. So, all right. So if you agree, then we can move on to the last 3. We can bunch them all together. Colorado, remember last show where I said Colorado's going to punch one of these big teams in the mouth? Mm-hmm. It could be Utah, and Utah is one of those teams that I feel like because of how we did with them last year, I feel like this could be one of the teams that Colorado punches in the mouth, unless you guys don't really see them as one of the best teams. But since they're being ranked as one of the top teams in the Big 12 and to take the Big 12 title, I would say Colorado punches them in the mouth. Your thoughts on that? You can go first, Phil.
I don't think Colorado punches them in the mouth.
Okay.
But I do think Colorado will play them tough. In this moment right now, I have Utah winning that game. But again, as the season progresses, new information is provided that may change.
Okay.
Um, but I think Colorado is going to play everybody tough this season. I don't think they're going to be any games that look like the Washington State game or the Oregon game from last year for
I
Colorado.
agree. I definitely agree because it's still our playbook. So let's make sure we understand what Oregon did to us. All right. So all right. So do you feel the same way, DC on Utah? We got a few more minutes so we can before we wrap this up. We're almost there.
Yeah, I don't think
The NBA finals starts in like in a few minutes, but if you guys can stick with
oh,
us,
you
we'll get
good,
done
bro.
soon.
Okay, Utah. I think Utah wins that one. It's not that Colorado hasn't gotten better. I just think that look at the time of year. My question is going to be DC competency because think about it. That was really the biggest. I know we talked about the O line, but the defense man killed Utah on a lot. I mean, think about just a couple of games where they had to stop, then you would be at 6 wins. So I think Utah is disciplined enough to beat you, and I have to give Utah the edge. I didn't even look and see what the line was on that. Let me
I
look
don't
at
think it's
that
going to
real
be
quick.
out
Well, I
this
guess what you can
early.
continue.
Yeah,
Real,
I don't think it's going to be
real
out this early.
at real. CU, TCU was ranked number 17th in the nation when we played them in the beginning of the season of 2023. CU won that game. So when you say no, CU lost to every ranked team that they play, unless you were just being facetious, or maybe you didn't follow the season as closely. But that's a negative. That's a negatory on your end. That's an L for you. You took a loss tonight. So go to sleep and make sure you have bad dreams on that.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. You took an L on that one. You got cooked. Thank you very much. All right, DC, you ready? You were looking up something?
Yeah, but I can't find it. So and I think
Okay.
Phil is right. So continue.
All right.
Yeah,
So
the spread usually don't come out this early for games that far in the
Yeah, I
at
can't
the end of the
find it.
season.
So
It's
it's like,
maybe like the first two games of the season you'll see an actual spread on.
come on, real. Come on now. You can't keep moving the goalpost. Everybody moves the goalpost on Colorado. Like you can't move the
You
goalpost.
you made a statement that was either going to be true or false, and the statement that was made is categorically false.
It's kind of
They were ranked 17 at the time,
Thank you.
therefore TCU was a ranked team. Colorado beat TCU. That is a fact. They were
Thank
ranked at
you.
the time. You are wrong.
That's
It's really that simple.
that's it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's that simple. We can go into nuances. All right, we can dig into the different nuances of whatever we try to talk about. But yeah, I mean, just like DC and Phil, they're always digging into the nuances. Oh, but you got to look at this. You got to look at that. I mean, when you're talking about records and who they beat, you can't move the goalposts. It's just that
The
simple.
the the argument should have been they didn't beat a team that was ranked at the end of the season because that would
Yeah,
show more of the strength
no.
of the team schedule. But
right.
at the end of the day, it
Can I
ain't that big
can
of
I
a
just say
deal.
this though? Can I just say this though? And this is with all love and support and from a safe, not a hate space to my CU
Why are you always
friends.
prerequisiting your conversations, dude? Like, what is wrong with you, man?
Because man, it's people um being snug with fabric softeners when it comes off. I'm just
Yeah,
messing
but
with you.
you're
But
setting yourself up. Every time you do this, you set yourself up. You know that,
okay,
right? Because when you
yeah,
do that, you're alerting people. I'll tell you
yes, I am.
one
Yes.
of my high school teachers used to say, "Hey Harry, don't tell me what looks bad about this photo that you drew. Just tell me what looks good about it because I probably wasn't thinking about it until you brought it up." You see
Well,
what I'm
Harry,
saying?
because it's a nice, safe space on TLP that I try to say things that are not triggering. And so, if we're going to have to sit back and say some things that some people may find a little uncomfortable, then I want to make sure that
But you're
I'm wrapping it
alerting them
up.
to their ears
Yes,
get pricked up when it's
yes.
coming.
I,
So
I, I know. I want
just
them to be
say it.
ready.
Don't alert yourself. Then that means you're getting people ready to land the negative information you're about to land. Like just say
Hold,
it,
Well,
bro.
hold,
well, it is a
hold on,
negative. It is
hold
a
on, real quick.
negative.
Real quick, DC.
What's up?
Real, I get your point. TCU was not a good team. That's perfectly fine. Two things can be true. TCU was not a good team last year, but the statement that you made was false. CU did not lose. CU beat a ranked team last year. That is a true statement. The statement that you made was
Yes.
false, and that's fine. If your argument is that TCU wasn't a good team, then simply say that. But if you're trying to argue the fact, if you're trying to argue the point that what you said was correct, that was incorrect.
Bro,
And again,
exactly. It's
it's
like
really that
somebody.
simple.
Yes.
It's like on Sunday when I posted Coach Prom's photo and I said Happy, Father's Day. Somebody wrote on there, they were like, "Why would you post a photo of a criminal?" And I said, "Wait a minute. I don't remember any time that Coach Prom went to court and actually was found guilty of committing a crime. But if you're just going to be coming off of your own thoughts about, oh, his son did this and that makes him a criminal, that's just your opinion.
Right.
That doesn't make him a criminal. He's not a criminal.
Shiloh is, but
Uh-oh.
That's an opinion also. Shiloh has never gone to court and been found guilty to be a criminal. So you can't say
He has not been found. He has not been found guilty to be a criminal. You're exactly right.
So everybody's
But
having their opinions, and if I
yes.
post something, if you don't like Coach Prom, parents don't have to be perfect, okay? If you think he's a criminal, that's your opinion, and I don't subscribe to other people's opinions. All right, it's just that simple for me.
Well, Harry, what I'm doing is having a warm cookie fresh out the oven moment where I'm
Okay.
serving it with love. And that is I totally get the issue with the referees in the Utah game. You are absolutely right. There were some missed calls. I will just sit back and say to CU fans, you cannot if you're going to compare last year's game with this one, you are not paying attention fully. Last year's game
Pay attention.
will not.
I want to make sure I pay attention now.
Yes, you will not last it because you have to look at while you were down some players, so were they. You got to look at where that QB that started that game was on the depth chart. You
Okay.
also have to look at they had a lot more walk-ons playing. So you got to kind of take a look at that game and have an understanding that the game that you saw last year will not be the game that you see this year.
I agree.
If Cam Rising
This
is
is also at the end of the season, though, DC. So keep in mind, we're both going to be banged up.
You're exactly right. So that's why I'm not going to sit here and say that Colorado is going to come in here or that Utah is going to dominate Colorado. I think that Utah edges them out.
Okay.
That Utah just edges them out, but I think it'll be a good game. I want these to be good games. I don't want them to be blowouts. So I think that Colorado will, but I'm just encouraging the fans to not take on a game like this one. Don't take last year and say this is what's going to be the thing. Because if Cam Rising is anything close to what he was in 2022, this should be a good game. It should be a very good
let
game.
me make this argument also. You remember a player called Artem McCaskill who had 1,100 yards coming from Houston?
Yes.
And everybody was bigging him up thinking he was going to be great. The thing about the pushback on your argument about him being good, like 2022, right? Is because when players are coming off of an injury, they always have this this PTSD moment in their recovery, and they don't think themselves to be the same player, right? So we also have to consider that as well. When players come off of injuries, they're not fully mentally, they're not the same player. All right.
Well, let me answer this, Terry.
I got pushback real quick. The difference between Alto and Cam is that Cam plays quarterback and Alto plays running back. You really have to believe in them ACL, MCL, and PCLs once they get healed. If you're running back, when you're cutting, you're making those moves. With a quarterback, it's not the same movements that they're making, so it is easier for them to trust their knees when they're coming back from an ACL tear. So while your point is valid, it is a little bit different depending on the position because you're doing a lot of different types of moves.
Right.
I accept that. I accept that argument, and I will caution my base. I will caution the fan base to say the Utah game, even though my girl KC, who I've been thinking was a guy this whole entire time I have my channel, I've been calling Casey because I don't know what is it about the name KC that just sounds like a guy's name. I finally see the photo on the screen, and it's a girl. Okay, so I did apologize at one point, but I just wanted to do it on this live. Casey is not a guy. Okay, Casey said Utah ain't beating CU. You're the one that ain't paying attention. So DC, we got problems. Okay, ain't paying attention.
Can I show Casey love real quick?
Yep.
The fact that Casey spelled "you're" correct, I have no argument with the statement that was made, because that
shot. Yes, that's a shot. I know how you are, Phil. That's a shot.
Hey, when I tell you that, they be killing people these days. So Casey, you got my respect. We disagree on here. I don't think you be hostile towards me. I don't think I'm hostile towards you. So it's all love on that.
Yeah. All right, Casey. I hope you're not a kindergarten teacher. But anyway, the fact that you spell "you" correctly, hey, we are BWBs. We'll take anything, right? Because we don't know football. So as long as we can spell,
small victories is what I say. Small victories.
Oh man, they will give us anything but football. So let's just take what we can get out of these conversations.
Oh, hold up. KC didn't put the 777 and put the glam pick up there. You know what? You go, girl. You gotta go ahead and let folks know in these internet streets that you got the glam and you know this football.
Yo,
go ahead.
Is that a filter?
Shut us down. I mean, basically,
Instagram filter on that?
I don't know, but KC trying to let folks know, hey, listen, I got this football game on lock, and so basically, I got y'all pausing. So good job, KC. I was thinking that
do they call it beauty and bronze? Is that what they call it?
But
yes.
Yeah.
Beauty and bronze. So she's like, look, I can talk with the guys, and I can, I can look this. I woke up looking like this, so that's pretty cool.
I mean, because I envisioned KC was looking like a chicken nugget with a wig on, but now I know better. I'm messing with you. That's love. That's love. No, that's not what I thought. It's just a joke, KC.
Yo,
that's
you got Shantae like that. Leave Casey alone. I thought she was a guy for a minute.
No, KC is my girl. I don't care. Casey can flame however she wants to, especially that profile picture. Go ahead. I might be in the DM later. Go ahead.
Nugget with a wig on. Oh my God! I can't believe you said she was a chicken nugget with a wig on.
DC said DC gonna be the DM. That's what he said.
Right? Yeah. That has to be some type of country saying, like, but it's still.
Hey, Harry playing matchmaker tonight. I like that.
Oh Lord. Hey,
we bring all kind of fans together. We bring all kind of fans together.
I was playing matchmaker with Shantae, but I think she's already snatched up, and I think Casey is snatched up. Because I think in one of these lives, she was like, either her hubby said that she need to go live or something. So y'all better be careful. There's a man in that room. So be careful. Y'all better, calm down. Okay. Get some cold water, either pour on yourself or drink it. Okay. I don't care what you do with it. But let's go ahead with Iowa State and then UCF. So Phil got Iowa State winning this game. So that means that Utah is what, 8-2? Are they 8-2 or 9-2? 9-2?
I say 9. We can say 9-2 at that point, because I think y'all said Oklahoma State would beat them, and then I said Iowa State would beat them.
Right. So that's 9-2 so far. DC, what do you think about Iowa State and Utah? Casey said
all yes. Right, so folks, Iowa State has a great QB. I know but you know what? That's good. That I'm glad for you, KC, and Mr. KC. No disrespect. I would say Rocco Bet.
That's is, Mr. KT, right?
That's right.
Mr. Casey's husband.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Mr. Casey. But Rocco Beck is a phenomenal quarterback.
Is that
he is
Karen?
projected? He was the head of.
So it's Mr. C.
Oh, no, not Karen.
Karen C.
Okay.
Oh man. we don't level.
But Rocco Beck is phenomenal. I know. I'm trying to get back over there. Rocco Beck for the quarterback for Iowa is phenomenal.
Are we talking about Iowa State here?
Yeah, Iowa State.
Yes, for Iowa State. He is a dark horse Heisman. Very phenomenal, good, accurate quarterback. 23 TDs, 8 interceptions. So I expect him to do well. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's a trap game for Utah.
Hold that thought. Hold that trap
I
talk.
really do.
Let me get Iowa stuff on tape. Iowa State sits at number 6, but the Cyclones might be the most underrated team in the country. Ooh, okay. Many
Yep.
turn on ISU after a 1-2 start, but the Clones went on to go 6-3 in Big 12 play and contend for the conference crown deep into November. Now, Iowa State ranks number 2 nationally in returning production. We got to repeat that. Iowa State ranks number 2 nationally in returning production. I talked about this one time because you got to keep in mind when we do these rankings and we do these projections, it also has to do with not just the fact that North Dakota State's been winning all these years. It has to do with who you're returning, who's coming back, because if they were instrumental in what you produced, then you got to bring them back to be able to at least have the same chance of producing as such, right? It has to make sense. All right. So running back Abu Sama, Abu is Abu is an Indian guy. Anyways, running back Abu Sama the third might be the X factor after averaging 7.3 yards per carry as a freshman. Wow, that's a freshman carrying for 7 yards average. A freshman. Now he's gonna be much. He's gonna be much.
Harry.
Wiser.
That's why.
Go ahead.
When I
Hold on. Let me just finish the tape.
The line is good. That's why when I tell folks, I said before you start claiming Colorado. When I say when folks start before you start, what you say?
Let me finish the tape. 1 second, then we can
Go
get.
ahead.
If he can develop into a complete running back, Iowa State could easily find itself in the title game. Wow. Okay. I mean, there's a few hidden gems here, but go ahead with your thoughts.
But that's what I'm saying is that I would encourage Colorado fans to don't just look at the teams on your schedule. You got to look at all the Big 12, and that the Big 12, that Iowa, they've got a line. This is a team that can get Utah, and so folks really have to be mindful of all those little things, the details in there. Because again, told you like Rocco Beck threw for over 3,000 yards last year, only 8 interceptions, and that was when he was a freshman. So that's why. So think about this. Dude's coming back as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Oh, but we'll see.
Peter was also a freshman. Now he's a sophomore, so he's much wiser, stronger. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna see the field a lot better. So
hey, Harry, just FYI, Sama the third, his father's from Sierra Leone and his mother's from Liberia.
Oh, so he's a kid. Okay, so that's what Kip said. Kip Bennett said he's African. So I thought about African when I heard Abu, but then the Indian guy.
You thinking Apu from the Simpsons?
Maybe that's what Apu. Yeah, maybe that's what I heard when I said Abu. So, but definitely,
I'm not even gonna make jokes. It's all good.
Hey, we are allowed to sneak jokes in these conversations.
I was about to do the. I was about to put like this up on expired baby food, but anyway.
Now you're being racist. That's not a joke. That's being racist. Okay, don't do that.
No, that's the Simpsons.
Who said that on a Simpsons episode? He does.
But that doesn't mean the Simpsons ain't being racist either. When you make fun of how some
Simpsons don't like nobody.
When you make fun of how a culture talks, I think you're kind of being racist against that culture. Okay, so are we? Should we say we're lucky not that we're not playing Iowa State and West Virginia? Would y'all say that we're lucky?
Yeah, because I think Iowa State will run. Iowa State I think will have a lot of success running the ball on Colorado. Now I think West Virginia could get into a shootout with Colorado, so I think that game may be more favorable for Colorado. But the game style, the play style that Iowa State has, is not a style that usually bodes well for Colorado.
Okay. All right. So let's finish this off because I know people want to go watch the finals. Utah versus USC. How we have them? Hold on. Did we say Iowa State? DC, what did you say for Iowa State? They're gonna lose or win?
He said it was a sneaky game, but I don't remember him saying for sure.
Yeah, DC.
Uh,
What's your
I think Iowa State gets them.
okay? So if you say Iowa State gets them, that's two that you have them losing.
Hey, Harry, I just want to point something out. If DC agree with me, that's usually a bad sign because everybody say we wrong. So that means Utah gonna blow out Iowa State.
No, I don't know. I mean, you legacy guys, you kind of know what you're talking about. I'll give you some. I'll give y'all some, some credit,
Thank you.
except when I'm cooking y'all. Then I understand. But nah, I kind of lean on y'all for your legacy conversations. But you talk a UCF. How do we have them? So DC, is it correct that you have them losing 2 games so far?
Yes.
Okay, so they're 9-2. Okay, not 9-2. They're 10-2, right?
Which is what they're
Mhm.
projected to be. Which is what they're projected to be.
Okay, so UCF, are they winning that game? Yes or no?
Are you asking DC or me? Because
All right, Phil.
I
Let me.
think,
We only got 2 on the panel, but any of y'all can talk. But
but
Phil,
before you were naming who you wanted to go first,
I
so I
know,
was
I
just
know.
trying to
I
keep some
got off my
decorum.
TV. I got off my TV decorum, so my bad. Phil, it's on you. Yes or no? Are they winning or losing?
So in this moment right now, I got Utah playing in a close one. I think if this game was earlier in the season with that hot Florida weather, that humid weather, I think I would give UCF the nod on that game. But because it's going to be later in the season, it's not going to be as hot. The conditions aren't going to be as crazy. I think
This is
Utah can
November.
go. Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be as hot like a Midwest team coming over playing in that muggy Southern Florida heat. It is an adjustment. So that's why I was saying like I would give them that home field advantage. But since it's later on in November, is the conditions aren't going to be the same. So I would give it to Utah, but this again is one of those games where I see that it will be a close game, and I think that once the season starts and you ask me the Friday before the game, my answer may be different. But right now, I got Utah winning in a close one. I say Utah by 4.5 right now.
By 4.5. Do we have the betting spreads on this? DC, do you know what the spreading is?
No,
Because you're a betting guy.
it's too late in the season for it
Okay.
to be out yet.
All right. So DC, how you have them?
I got about the same. I have Utah winning by about 4, 5 points.
So this is one of the games that So Iowa State, Utah, UCF, Iowa State, UCF, and then what was the other team that we said was going to beat them?
Oklahoma State, UCF,
Oklahoma State.
and Iowa State.
So OSU. So we have them on the channel, but at 9-3, and I would say that puts them out of the playoff, the championship game. Is that accurate or no?
I don't know. The Big
No,
12, the
no.
Big 12 is one of those conferences where you're probably gonna have a champion that has a three loss season, possibly a 4 loss season, just depending on how things stack up. Because there's no one clear cut team that is gonna be the champion, so to speak. I think everybody's fairly even in the conference, so they could play out in the actual in conference records.
Okay. Well, all right. So, and I do have Colorado at 8-4. So, but I didn't have them in the championship game. We're gonna go to a bowl game and we're gonna win it. So we're gonna end up being a 9-4, having a 9-4 season. But okay. So
Oklahoma
Utah.
State made it. Oklahoma State made the championship game.
What was their record last year?
Oklahoma State. You're saying?
I can pull it up.
I mean, it's on this thing that I'm on. I just got to click on their name. All right, so Oklahoma State, here to go. Where's their? Do they even have records on here? Wait, is that UCF beating Oklahoma State 45-3 last year?
Yeah, it was nuts. Like that whole
What?
game was crazy last year.
45-3?
Yeah.
Oh man, we need to take a deeper look at some of these. We need to take a deeper look at some of these teams. My goodness.
Oh, they were no Oklahoma State was 7-2 last year they were 7-2 in the conference, but their
Mhm.
record for the season was 10-4. So they did lose 4 games that season, but in the conference they only lost 2 games.
Oh, okay. Since we got UCF on that schedule, let's go ahead and get UCF on the record. The Knights were positioned as a potential dark horse contender in their first Big 12 season, but UCF struggled to deal with the strength and bulk of Big 12 opponents, going 1-7 against legacy Power 5 teams. UCF hit the portal hard and got some big hitters, including quarterback KJ Jefferson, edge Najaklit Kelly, whatever his name is, and linebacker Josiah Pierre. Jefferson should add some physicality to Gus Malzahn's power rushing offense and keep the pressure off a developing defense. That said, it's hard to be confident in UCF's physicality reaching contention level until we see it. Okay, so they are like they are pretty much like a Colorado, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We brought in a lot of good players, and we don't necessarily know. One of the rooms that scares me the most right now is our running backs room. We do have, people who break down plays, and they're telling us good things about the people we're getting. But, I mean, that's not something I can hang my hat on and be like, oh, yeah, this is great. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like we'll see, because these other teams are also doing the exact same thing. So while I can be bullish, and when I'm ready to fan out with my fans and my fellow fan members, fan out, I'm still going to have that question in the back of my head. We have to wait and see. Y'all feel the same way?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've heard it say that UCF is the team Colorado thinks it is,
That's a good
and
point.
I don't know if I agree with that 100%. All I can say is that they have made some upgrades. I think the biggest question mark, we all know Shador is good. All I would say this, will say this though. Was Caleb Williams better last year, Harry? I ask you this: was Caleb Williams better last year or the year before?
Wait, what do you mean? Was he better last year or the year before?
Yes, like
I would
did he
say
have a better season last year or the year before last year, where he won the
I
Heisman?
don't know enough to tell you because I just came on last year.
Right, and this is
Well,
the
to,
thing
to
I'm
answer the
saying,
question, he
kind of
had a better season 2 years ago.
right. So that's the thing I think some people are assuming is that I think Shador is phenomenal, but it's not uncommon for quarterbacks to come back after a Heisman season and have a drop off. It
That
has
is a very
happened
true point.
far more often than not. You can look at Alabama and you can see recently when that just happened. So that's the
But
only
that's
thing
good.
I say, like happened with Bryce Young. So the thing I'm
That's good
saying
for
is that
Shador because he didn't win no Heisman.
our hope is that Shador will come out and steps up and does great. But that's the thing that folks are just assuming that, well, once you have all these pieces together, it will be better. And that's not always the case.
What? What?
Now,
What about this argument? If you haven't won anything of significance, you went to the Celebration Bowl, you lost, I believe twice. You haven't won
That is
anything
correct.
of significance at the level where you want to be celebrated. Does it put a bigger chip on your shoulder and you're still playing with hunger? You know what I'm saying? In that argument, because he didn't win no Heisman and he did get hurt, so he's still playing with a little bit of chip. So if you look at Caleb, who has already won it, it's easier to fall back once you win something of significance and people give you praise, just like Shador started acting a certain way when they were winning at Stanford. Players do kind of regress and they start kind of like feeling themselves and not play to their potential. You feel me? Is that like that's a little bit of an reverse argument to
That,
think
that's a
about as
that's a
well.
valid
I
point.
agree with that.
That's a valid
I
point.
agree with
That's
that.
a valid point.
I agree with
So
that.
should so
I
Shador
agree
still
with
he
that. The
still
main
plays.
thing was just looking at.
Go ahead.
No, basically, I'm saying is that kind of when you look at football and just kind of given her history, kind of how that stuff goes, is that sometimes, even if you don't win a Heisman, sometimes quarterbacks don't always come back and duplicate or build on the same year. That can happen. But
Yes.
I'm not saying it won't. What I am saying is that it should be a good year. It's just that sometimes the tendency, like you haven't looked at football a lot, you'll have a tendency to think that teams will progressively get better, but that is not always the case. We can name a ton of TCU.
Yep.
TCU.
But
Prime example
remember
of
we
how
talked about returning production. That's also one of the biggest factor is returning production. So we can't blanket it and say TCU. The argument is good for individuals, but as a team, you got to bring back a big percentage of that team that was instrumental in what you produced the year prior.
Right, and Colorado didn't bring back a bunch of that. They did get some teams and stuff in the
That's
portal.
good for us. That's good. That's good.
Right,
That's good for us. And we were 4-8.
That is good. Oh, trust me, bro.
But guess what? But no, but listen, I get the joke and everything, but no, I'm gonna push back on that. Yeah, y'all were 4-8 last year, but that's how most teams do when they come from a 1-11 season. They go 4-8, then they go 6-6, then they go 8-4, then they go 10-2. So who's to say that if they kept the same guys from last year and kept some continuity, that they wouldn't be even better than what this team could be this year? Now, while I agree, yes, they brought in better talent, but if we want to believe in the idea of continuity and bringing back production, who's to say that the same team they had last year with another year under their belt, you know what I'm saying, couldn't be just successful as this team would be this year? So I mean,
agree.
that's just something to think about.
Because I mean, you get angry and you get the energy that you come into the season with is probably energy that you got from last year when dudes was smacking you around. You feel some kind of way, so you feel like I want to put a whipping on some guys this year too. And if we see them again, it's on site. So I do get that argument. I mean, but keep in mind that we're talking about nuances now, right?
Yeah.
These are nuanced conversations now. So, but hey, man, listen, we can go down the line, and who's our next team that we'll deal with on next week? We'll be taking K-State next week. So if anybody, and if we do, if we can go a little faster, we can do K-State and then Kansas. Or what I'll do is I will just continue this on the Friday show, so that way we can just do it two times a week. We'll do it 2 times a week so we can get all the teams in. Does 2 times a week sound good? Hey Tim, what's up with you, man? Should we do this on Friday, or should I leave Fridays open for something else?
I say we can do it real quick.
Yeah, do it the first half, and then the second half, let the free for all go based off of whatever we talked about,
Okay, cool. So then on Friday, we'll be talking about K-State, because they are ranked number 2. We're taking K-State, and we're taking number 3, Kansas. So anybody wants to join the show not next Friday, but this Friday coming, just get whatever resources you can get on K-State, Kansas, so that when we're having a conversation, you can sound like you're Stephen A. All right. But hey, Tim, thanks for coming in so late, man. I appreciate you. Y'all go watch the game. I'm going to go watch the game, and my son's going to stay up. So I'm going to stay up with him so we can watch the game. Hey, man, DC, Phil, I thank you guys for joining me, man. You guys are my legacy guys, and I appreciate your knowledge, man.
No problem. It's always fun to jump on, man. Y'all have a wonderful night.
All right, you too, man. Take care. All right, guys. Good night. Peace out. I will see y'all on Friday. Peace.